Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are happy to see everyone on the call, and we are very excited to have Cheryl Longknife Morales back with us to give us a presentation entitled Returning to Our Medicinal Roots, Plants and Food as Medicine Series, Part 3. This webinar is provided by the National American Indian Alaska Native PTTC, a program funded by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Our center is located at the University of Iowa in Iowa City. For our webinar follow-up, we will be getting in touch following today's event to share our survey link in case you did not get a chance to fill it out and to share any additional follow-up information. When you close out of the presentation today, it should direct you to that survey. But like I said, we will also be sending it out via email. We will be saving the conversation from the chat and sharing that with everyone in that follow-up email. So please be aware of that when writing. We will remove sensitive information, and we actually are recording this event today. This webinar, like I said, is provided by SAMHSA. Participation in our evaluation lets SAMHSA know how many people attended our event, how satisfied you are with our webinar today, and how useful our webinars are to you. So you will find a link to the Gipper survey in the chat box, and like I said, you'll be directed to that link as you exit the webinar today. We would love for you to take a few minutes to give us your feedback on this webinar, and you can skip any questions that you do not want to answer. Your participation is absolutely voluntary. Through the use of our coding system, your responses will be kept confidential, and it will not be possible to link your responses to you. We appreciate your response and look forward to hearing from you. A few little housekeeping items. You will need to click on the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, or it may be in a different location if you're on your phone, to open up the chat on the right side of the screen. To ask questions or share comments, please type them into the chat pod. You can also use the question and answer pod that is at the bottom of your screen as well. We will have Cheryl give her presentation, and we will answer all your questions at the end of her presentation today. So a little bit about today's speaker. Cheryl Longknife Morales. This is a bio that she wrote herself, so I will read it as if I was her. My name is Cheryl Longknife Morales. My given name is Holy Nest Woman. I am White Clay. Gross Ventris tribe from the Cold People clan, as well as Blackfeet and Nakota. I am a veteran, and I served 6 years in the U.S. Army and met my husband of 37 years during my tour in the Army. We have 5 children and have resided in Harlan, Montana for the last 27 years. I started my education career with Fort Belknap College. Now, I'm going to say this wrong, Cheryl, Anai Nakota College. I received my associate's degree in business, continued on to Rocky Mountain College for my bachelor's in applied business management, and finished at MSU Bozeman with my master's in educational leadership. Currently employed at Anai Nakota College, where I have worked for the past 24 years in many capacities, as we all do at tribal colleges. She is an adjunct instructor at the college and teaches traditional plants. She became interested in medicinal plants 10 years ago and started teaching herself how to harvest, process, and utilize medicinal plants. Wants to share as much as she can to people who want to learn the old ways. Our plants were put here on Mother Earth for our use for our mind, body, and spirit. So with that, I will turn it over to Cheryl.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here with you all. We're going to do the second part of returning to our medicine roots, and I'm very thankful that Cindy and Dara and Natasha invited me back. And just to clarify, I'm sorry. Natasha, Ani. We say
Thank
it.
you. Ani.
Ani. Okay. Well, I hope everyone is safe home and being healthy. and taking precautions during this challenging times. Like I told Natasha, our college is closed. We're on campus limited. We're doing a lot of Zoom with our students and trying to do the best we can for them and still keep them in classes and keep them going. So if we can, we can get started. So I just share my screen again, Natasha.
Yep. Perfect.
Excuse me. Okay, so returning to medicinal roots, part 2. What do we call herbal medicine? Any parts of the plants that you use. Can be the roots, the plant seeds, the berries, the leaves, the bark, flowers. Any part of the plant that is used for medicinal is what we call our herbal medicine. I didn't get to go over some protocols the last time. So I'm going to go over some what I tell my class when we go out and we harvest our plants. I always like to give an offering. We can give an offering of tobacco. Most of us usually carry that with us, so that's a good thing. We can have a prayer. If you don't have your tobacco, you can say a prayer for a good harvest for a next bountiful year of medicines for our people. If you have a song, you can sing a song. One time I forgot my tobacco, and I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought of saying a prayer, but I had a song that I sang to my first grandson. So while I was out there, I just sang that song and thankful to the Mother Earth and that we would have a new bountiful harvest the next year. So anything that you have, a song that you want to sing is good. Cloth. People like to bring cloth and they'll tie it around a tree and leave it and say prayers. All of this is good. All of this is good because you're giving from the heart. You're giving and asking the Creator to give you good health, to give you a good harvest, because this is all for your mind and your body. All the plants that we use is for our health. So long as you give with a good heart, you're going to get that in return. And we want to respect the plant. The plant gives us medicines to heal our bodies and our mind. The land, it has bountiful gifts of food, medicines, and shelter that it provides for us. And then the knowledge is shared. We share this knowledge amongst our people, and we share what we know, and we share how to use what we have harvested. And it's just a really good thing to just share with your people. And people have been doing that for generations. We have families here that have certain medicines they go out and they harvest because they've used it for generation to generation, and they hand it down. And a lot of it is handed down by mouth. They don't write it down. They just give an oral story of how this plant is used, where it came from, and who gave it to them. So when we go out and we harvest our plants, there are different processes of these plants. Infusion. Infusion is any soft part of the plant. I go out and when I harvest my plants, I have a garden. Like I said before, I have a medicinal garden down here by the greenhouse, and I'm harvesting all the time. So if I'm using, I don't know if you can see it. this is my leaves I use. So this is a part of the infusion. If I'm going to make a tea, I want to boil my water and then I'll put it in one of these. This is a tea bag. And the neat thing, I just love this tea bag. The neat thing about the tea bag is you put it in here. And for you ladies who use a hot iron, you just put your tea and infuse it. Easy to use. I use these all the time. So you're gonna boil your water and then pour it into your tea bag and then let it steep for about 5 to 10 minutes. For a decoction, the decoction are the harder parts of the plants. Like this right here. This is a blackroot echinacea. And so what you're going to do is you're going to crush this up, put it in your tea bag, and when you start your tea, you're going to put it in the water, and you're going to get it come into a rolling boil, and then let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then take it out, let it set. You want it to cool down, of course, otherwise you're going to scald your tongue, like I've done many times. And then add some honey. I love adding honey. And so the decoctions are going to be the hard part of the plants, the stems, the twigs, the roots. A poultice. So a poultice is, you're going to take dried herbs or decoction of the plant, and then you're going to apply it. And then what I'll do is if I have, let's see, plantain. Plantain I like to use if I have a burn, if I have a rash or a scrape, I'll take it, I'll chew it, because your saliva is going to activate all the properties that's in that plant. So I'll take that and I'll chew it, and then I'll put it directly to my wound that I want to heal, and I'll bandage it. And then I kind of change that throughout the day several times. And miraculously, by the next day or even by the evening, whatever scrape or burn I had is practically gone. It's amazing what these plants can do. You know, you look at it and someone will tell you and you think, okay, yeah, sure. But it works wonders. So that would be a poultice. A salve, you're going to take your leaf or your dried root, and you're going to mix it up with some type of fat. Thickening agent, beeswax, pine sap, and you're going to put it with it, and that's going to extract all the properties out of that plant, and it's going to start working, and then you can start putting it on wherever parts of your body that you have wounds, scrapes, or cuts. Oh shoot, I'm sorry, I thought I turned this off. Okay, like the plantain, I put it on my granddaughter, and as soon as I put it on her, she got stung by a wasp, and she could feel it actually working. As soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. It's amazing. It just has a little, not really stinging sensation, but there's a sensation that you can feel, so you know that it's working. Let's see, tincture. I don't have any tinctures on me. They're in my storage room down the hall. Tinctures. So you're going to put, if I wanted to use this and make a tincture out of it, I'm going to put some alcohol, and I'm going to use brandy or vodka. And the alcohol I use is vodka. And it's as close as you can get to 50%, because vodka is 80%, 80 proof, and it converts to 40%. So it's the closest you're going to get to 50%. So I would pour it in about maybe an inch over the plant, and I'm going to let it sit for about 14 days in the shade, and in the cupboard, and I'm going to shake it every day. And then once the time period is over, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take the pulp out. And now I have a tincture that I can use whenever I have an ailment. There's one I have for anxiety. And I'm going to mix that. I'm going to take a spoonful of that and then maybe put it in a tea, put it in with some juice, put it in with honey, just to get the strong taste of alcohol, to kind of tame that down. And you'll be good with the tincture, and that's how to make the tincture. Okay, so this is my process plant. This is the one I had just showed you. This is a mixture of peppermint. Peppermint is good for opening up the nasal passages, your breathing, and it's a menthol. The menthol and is going to help open that nasal passage, and it's going to have a really nice minty flavor. The hyssop is actually I have some right here. The hyssop, it's a really pretty plant, and the flowers on top are purple. So I'm going to take that plant and dry it, and then I'm going to crush it all up, and then I'll mix it with the peppermint. And the hyssop is going to purge all the phlegm that's from your chest, that's in your chest. You know, that all that gunky stuff, when you're coughing it up, it comes up. It's going to purge that out. The plantain is going to dry up that phlegm that's in your chest. Yarrow is really a good cold plant. It has, a lot of these plants have other uses, but I tried to put these together because they all target the cold. And the yarrow is good for the congestion, and the marshmallow is going to help with the mucous membranes. You know, when we're sick, our mucus gets all inflamed and doesn't feel very good. Marshmallow is going to take care of that, and it's going to moisturize it and heal it. And I guarantee you, if this remedy I use, as soon as I have a cold coming on, I use this mixture right away, and within 3 days, my cold is gone. Whoever said a cold cannot be taken care of, they lied. Because I use it. My husband uses it, and it's great. Okay, so we have horsemint. I went out and harvested this summer. Oh my gosh, the flowers on this was beautiful. Also known as wild bergamot, bee balm, and lemon mint. It has a minty flavor. All your mint plants have squared stems. And again, I picked this, dried it out, and then I put it in the jar. And this is going to be used for upset stomachs, stomach aches, gas, bloating. I wished I would have had this when my daughter had colic. It's going to be great for colicky babies. You just have to dilute it just a little bit more than you would for an adult. Because an adult, you would just take a teaspoon, and for a child, you might want to dilute it more, double the dilution of the water you would add, like a cup of water, then you add 2 cups. Okay, so here's my calendula infused oil, echinacea, and yarrow infused oil. So these plants, I harvested them from the medicinal plant at the garden. And every day I'm constantly picking, especially the calendula, because the calendula is really a great plant for topical skin disorder. So I go down there and I'm constantly harvesting all the flower tops. And the flower tops are the only part of the calendula plant I'm going to use. So I put that in there, and I put about, let's see, right here I have about, looks like 2 inches over the plant. So you want to pour it over, and it's just going to start extracting all the medicinal properties out of there. The one to the right is echinacea and yarrow infused oil. And that I did the same thing, put it in there, and then I put the oil again 2 inches above so that it starts extracting. And I'm going to leave it set for about 4 to 6 weeks. And I let it sit out in the sun. I let it sit out there, and I'm shaking it up. And so it's just kind of marinating and simmering. And so after the 4 to 6 weeks, I take it out. I take all the pulp out, and then my infused oil is ready to use, and then I start to store it. Some people like the calendula, because once I've taken the calendula out of the oil, it's going to turn in, let's see. Okay, here we go. Once I've taken it out of the oil, it becomes a poultice or a salve. And some people want it. Some people actually want it because they just use it as a poultice, and so I'll give it to them. So here we go with the comfrey infused oil. Here's the jar, and then I took it out, and I have a strainer underneath, and then I have cheesecloth. I want to get as much of the plant out as I can, and then I want to get some of the sediment out. So I'm straining this, and I have it into a jar. Then I put it into another container, and I'm straining it again with another cheesecloth. So once I've done that, I have about the most cleanest infused oil that I could get, because when you've harvested it and you've infused it in oil, a lot of that sediment and just kind of settles down to the bottom of the jar. So I strain it. Like I have here, 1, 2, 3 times. If I see that there's more in there, I'll strain it again, because I want to have the cleanest oil that I can get after I've infused it with my plants. Okay, so now we want to get ready to make some cream. Normally this process is probably going to take me close to 3 hours. So what I did the other day was I came in and I took pictures. I took pictures so you can see what the process I did to go through it. And what I have here, this is what I want to get started. I have my double boiler. I can use the stove in the kitchen, but for my classes, and because I have so many students, I have a little burner, which makes it a lot easier because they can come around and they can look at it and see what I'm doing without trying to crowd around the stove. So this makes it a lot easier for them. So I have my beeswax. I got this from the local apiary, and you'll see that it's in chunks. Once I took this picture, I went and cut it down. And then I have my coconut oil. Coconut oil is good. Coconut oil it's good for your skin. It's a moisturizer. It's really good for inflammation. I tried shea butter. I didn't like it. I didn't like the texture. So, but I did like the coconut oil. So I have that. And then here's my infused oil. And then I have my scale here to measure out my beeswax, because I want to make sure I have the right. Now this is raw beeswax. So when I bought the beeswax from the herbal store, that was already processed. I found that I have to use more of the raw beeswax than I did the processed beeswax. Okay, so now here's the other half of my ingredients. I have my distilled water. It's the most purest water I'm going to get. Aloe vera. Aloe vera is another healing gel, medicinal plant. Vitamin E. It's going to moisturize and heal the skin. Then lavender, I have lavender, which is also an anti-inflammatory. Peppermint, the same thing, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. And then I have eucalyptus. As we know, eucalyptus is a soothing plant. It's going to just calm and soothe the skin. So I picked these essential oils all for those properties that they have. So, okay, now we want to get our containers ready, and you'll see I have my containers here in my labels. So got them ready for the nip bone cream. Check. So here's the double boiler. I put my infused oil inside, and then I added my coconut oil. And I let that simmer, and the next thing I added my beeswax. So I'm going to kind of let that simmer and melt it, because I want all of this melted by the time I'm ready to get it started. So let's get blended. So here I have a cup. Here's my distilled water, my aloe vera essential oils, and my vitamin E, and my Ninja blender. The first time I used a Ninja blender, it was awesome. I have them at home, so when I decided to use my creams, I thought, I'm going with it. I thought it blended well, it was stronger, and it made it really easy. So what I did was I took the distilled water in the measuring cup. I put my infused oil, put it in the blender, and then I opened up the top and I just slowly poured it in. And as I poured it in, it just started blending. And as you can see right here, here's the cream that it's starting to turn into. And now we have made some cream. Here's the cream. And this one was much larger than the one I normally used. So I was able to make about 10 cups. And then right here, you'll see the cream. It's kind of a yellow color, and it's a little smooth and more liquidy. And then we bottled it up, poured it in the cups. And so I let it set overnight. And when I let it set overnight, this is the cream itself right now. And as you see, it's not going to come out. And I use this comfrey cream. It's great for aches, pains, arthritis, broken bones, fractures. I bought CBD oil. If anyone's had aches and pains and they thought CBD oil was a thing to buy and use, and a lot of people did. I went to the herbal store and I talked to the lady there, and she pointed me in that direction. So I bought some, and actually I bought it. It was a little smaller jar than this, $30. And I used it, and I think I tried to fool myself into saying, oh yeah, this is working. It's doing really good. And it actually wasn't. And I've used the comfrey leaves as a poultice. I took it, I mashed it up, I just kind of liquidated it, and then I gave it to my daughter's boyfriend. He had a fracture on his foot, and so I made some up for him, and he used it as a poultice. and he kept wrapping his foot, and it actually healed his foot a lot quicker than it normally would have taken to heal. The only thing about this is because it's so strong and it works really great is you want to make sure if you have like a fracture like he used, I told him, I said, well, don't use it as much because it'll heal quick. It's going to heal quick, and you don't want it to heal too quick before the inside is actually starting to heal inside out. So when I finally told myself that the CBD oil isn't really doing what it said it's supposed to do, I thought, you know, Cheryl, you make this cream, you use this poultice, let's use it. And so I made some, and then I started giving it out, having other people try it, see what they thought about it. My husband loves it. He swears by it. He has rotary cup shoulder, and he puts it on his shoulder, and it works great, which is crazy because his is on the left side and mine's on the right side. I just started this. This pain was just happening the last year, and I thought, what is going on? Again, age catching up to us. So I started using this, and it was amazing. It was, I could sleep through the night. My pain wasn't there. And then now on my knees, I was feeling pain. And again, I tried to deny it, that no, it's just I slept wrong. But I use this stuff. I use Comfrey, and the pain is gone. It takes away. I'm able to be more active, be more mobile with my knees, and I love it. So I always have to make sure I have some. I've given some to some coworkers. They love it. They ask for it, and it's great. You know, when we think about plants giving us medicine, helping us, we think, well, what's a plant going to do? Well, you know, a lot of our chemical labs, our laboratories, that's where they get their medicine. They go out and they get these plants and they extract that property out. But what do? They add chemicals. They add a lot of chemicals to it. And it doesn't work as efficiently as your natural plants, or doesn't work as quickly. And sometimes you even have side effects. So these are some of the healing creams that have been really popular that I've had a lot of feedback from. The healing skin cream it looks the same color as the Nippon cream, and so does the no, actually the mosquito cream is just a little bit darker because of the plant. But they almost look the same in color, but the properties that they heal is great. The healing skin cream, I'm going to use the Calendula, Echinacea, and Yarrow. Calendula is a topical skin plant, mainly topical skin disorders for the Calendula. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use that plant. Echinacea is also a healing plant, helps with the skin, soothes it, calms it. And yarrow is a good plant for cleansing your blood. It's a coagulator. So I thought, you know, let me put all of these together, and I've added tea tree to that, eucalyptus. Tea tree is for acne. The healing skin cream has been used for psoriasis, eczema, rash, diaper rash, acne. A lot of young people really love it for the acne part that it helps with them. Let's see. Burns, cuts, scrapes, it heals. It really heals good. So now the mosquito lotion, I showed you the horsemint flowers. I use that. I use that for mosquitoes. I don't use pesticides off. I don't like putting that on my skin. It's just like putting more chemicals in my skin. So our ancestors would use this plant to put over foods, over meats. We didn't have refrigerators, back then. So they would put refrigerator, or they would put this plant over the meat because it would repel the insects, the bugs and mosquitoes. So I thought, hey, let me try this. And so I made this and I love it. I make sure I have some on hand every year. If I can use it in the cream, or I'll use it in a little spray bottle. I don't have any here. Or I'll just put the infused oil in the spray bottle, and then I'll add a little bit more wild bergamot to just give it a stronger kick, and I'll spray that on. It's great. It works wonders. You have to apply it every couple hours, but I like it. I like it because I don't have to worry about pesticides. I don't have to worry about all those chemicals going into my skin. I use this on my grandkids. They go out and play and they love it. And they're always asking me for this when they go outside. Lip balm. Lip balm is great. I use the same that I use for the healing skin cream. It's just processed and made slightly different. And dried lips, dried cracked lips. My niece had dried cracked peeling lips, and she's used Burt's Beeswax, Bag Balm, all of these. And I said, well, here, try this. And I gave it to her that morning. I went to work, came back, and by that evening, her lips were almost healed. It was amazing. And she thought it was great because she'd never had anything that worked that fast. I have a coworker who comes and grabs a few of those all the time. She just loves it. And then I can't see it with this. Let me see. Oh, there we go. And that's my nip bone cream. That's the infused comfrey. You want to make sure, though, if you ever collect comfrey, you don't want to drink it. It's just for topical use, like for, like I said, poultice, and then I use it in the cream. Okay. Gosh, I didn't think this would go so fast, but the allotted time, I guess. Okay. I'd like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some knowledge and uses of our medicinal plants. And I hope you all go out and gather. It's going to take some time. It will take some time when you go out for plants. This summer I went out and was picking some horsemint, some sage, some yarrow, and I allotted like 4 hours. It's not like going to the store and walking out with something. You're going to have to go out, search in the area, and I found a nice area just below the mountains that's clean. There's no pollution, and it was a great area to pick these plants. So you're going to have to walk to find your plants. You're going to have to take some time to pick them. You think, oh, okay, I'm going out to pick a few. That's not going to, well, it does take time, and so, but you take your family. I took my grandkids. They had fun. They were running around. My daughter and her boyfriend, they were walking up in the mountains, and I asked them to go look for some turnips. And so they were up there looking for that. It's great. You have family time, bring a picnic with you. That's what we did. We brought some food with us to have a picnic. Take some time. Enjoy yourself. Don't rush it, because, you may miss some things out there that, oh, hey, I didn't realize this was out here. Yeah. So take some time and enjoy the scenery, enjoy your area, your environment, and find out what other plants are out there. We have so many plants that Mother Nature has provided for us. She brings it every year. Just give an offering. Make sure you give an offering, prayer, so that it comes back abundantly the next year. Okay, so if I have any questions, I'm here.
Cheryl, thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful. We have quite a few questions, so I'm going to read some off for you, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So first question is from Bobby. If we make a tincture, do we refrigerate for the 2 to 3 year shelf life, or is it okay in the pantry?
I would put it in the pantry. I would put it in the pantry in a dark, well, it's going to be dark in the pantry. So yeah.
Perfect. Barbara was wondering about the above ground planters that you have wonderful pictures of. She was wondering where she could buy them, or what are they called, or are there instructions for making them?
The what?
The above ground planters that you have.
Oh, the raised beds?
Yes.
We had, my husband has interns, and some of his interns were carpenters at the time. So they made those. You can make them. You can make them. We made a smaller one for our daughter. She wanted to have vegetables. So we made, I think it was like 8 feet by 8 feet. It was just a small one. But when you make them, you want to make sure that they're not too wide. And I think the ones we have are 4 feet, because for one, easy for weeding when you're trying to clean out your bed. But you want to make sure you can reach halfway in on one side, and then when you go to the other side, halfway in on the other. You don't want to make it too wide where you can't reach the middle.
Wonderful. Thank you. Nora was wondering if you would be able to share your recipes.
Yes.
Wonderful. And also there's a couple people asking where they can buy your cream and if there's products available to order. So I'm wondering if you have some contact information that we can share with everyone in the follow-up email.
Yeah. I can give you my information.
Perfect. Okay, so we will include that, everyone, in the follow-up email that we send out after the end of this webinar. We have a question from Bonnie. Are you able to use any of this as a sanitizer? She got on a little late, so wasn't able to hear from the beginning.
Yes, you can. Your peppermint and your lavender are antibacterial, so you can put them. You can make the tea and just use it and spray it as a wash. Because it's antibacterial and astringent.
Great, thank you. James was wondering, how can we learn more about medicinal plants and how to make medicine? Can we purchase items? So we already answered the purchase items part, but how can we learn more? What would be your advice for James?
Well, I learned when I first started this, there was a gal, she's an ethnobotanist, and she did a presentation at our teacup meeting in DC. And I brought her over here to the college, and she gave a class. So I took the class, and I have been learning from since then. I buy a lot of books. I have a bookshelf that is three shelves are just full of medicinal books. I bought some from Barnes and Noble, and I was fortunate enough to go to a conference in Washington, and Northwest College held it at the Bastyr University. And Bastyr University was a naturopathic university. So everything they taught there was natural plants, natural ways of healing. And so I bought a lot of books from there. But I know they have a good university. I haven't had time to take any classes that I would like, but they offer classes. I think you just have to search, or you can just start buying the books and reading them and teaching yourself is what I've been doing, and learning a lot about what plants we have in our backyard. It's amazing when people come to our garden tours. The plants that I grow here, I try to make sure they're from our environment, and they look at those and go, "Oh, I have those in my backyard. I have those. I see those when I'm going walking in the mountains." And so now they know that they're medicinal plants. Here's one of the books for Montana. So in your area will have plants for your state. And then you can find, search for that book, see what plant, and they'll tell you what their medicinal uses are, who used them, what tribes used them, what they used them for. Lewis and Clark, when he came along, he had a log, a diary that he kept when he ran into all the different tribes. And when his party got sick, wherever he was at, those tribes helped him heal and doctored him up with their plants in that native area. So you may even want to look and see what Lewis and Clark, if he came through your state, what he put in the diary for the plants in that area, because he saw those used by the tribes in those states.
Thank you. Nora was wondering, is there a maximum time to infuse?
A what?
A maximum time to infuse, I assume in the oil.
Oh, okay. I would say my max time was 3 months. I know some have infused them longer, up to 6 months, but as long as you kept it, bottled up and shook it all the time, you'll be good.
Thank you. KP was wondering, how do you keep the raised beds fertile? When I tried raised beds, I just found it easier to have ground level, so to rotate compost into them. I appreciate your ideas.
That was one of my thoughts as we were going through with our raised beds. But every time I would till it up, we have a lot of worms in our raised bed. So I never really had a problem. You could get worm castings. There's worm castings, manure. What is it? Chicken manure that you can put into the ground. My husband uses those. But I know for some reason, I have a lot of worms. So I know my raised beds are really fertile. But worm castings will help. Worm castings and chicken manure.
Thank you. Melanie asked what oil you use to infuse for the creams. And you use coconut oil. Is that right?
I use coconut. I tried shea. Let's see, there was another one I tried. But when it came down to it, coconut oil was better. I like the texture once I finished the oils with the creams, and I liked how it firmed up at the end. So coconut has a lot of healthy benefits for your skin, and if you just want to cook with it, eat with it, drinks. It's really good for the body and the skin.
Great, thank you so much. And actually, Gilbert mentioned, I think in response to one of the earlier questions, that there are books you can probably get from the library, and sometimes local tribes will hold classes as well for medicinal plants.
Right.
Connie asked, Melanie had a follow-up question. She says, I mean, when you are infusing the plants before making the cream, what oil do you use?
I use olive oil. I like olive oil. Olive oil also has a lot of healthy benefits. It's good for the skin. And like I use the mosquito cream, because that I'm going to put all over my arms and my legs. It actually even moisturizes. It moisturizes and it makes my skin soft. So does the healing cream. So the olive oil has a lot of benefits for your skin as well.
Thank you. Connie asked about previous webinars, where she can find them. Connie, you can find all of the recordings of past webinars on our website, which is pttcnetwork.org/native. So I will type that in to the answer pod here, so you can reference that. Cheryl, you have many people commenting in the chat box, thanking you for your very helpful presentation and your skills and wisdom. So I wanted to make sure to mention that. Anyone else have any last minute questions for Cheryl? You can also, if you feel more comfortable speaking your question rather than typing it in, you can do the raise hand feature as well, and I can unmute you. Oh, Devery said, you mentioned a college in Washington that had classes. What was the name? Are there other trainers and resources you recommend?
Bastyr University is a naturopathic university, and they have classes. They have a beautiful garden, medicinal garden, right behind the university. That's where we did our conference at. They had our conference there. What classes they have, I don't know, but it's all natural. Because a lot of my books, I bought a lot of books from them. I thought, I couldn't find a better place to get these books than this university, who's actually teaching these classes. So I bought a ton of books. And then when I go into Barnes and Noble, when I first walk in, they always have a lot of medicinal plant books there. So I know one time I was asked which one was my favorite, and I thought, well, I don't know, because not all of them will give all the plants, and then each book has different information. I'll read this one, and then I'll read another one. Oh, hey, I didn't know about this, and then another one that could be the same plant, but it's going to offer more information than another book. So then I'm sitting there studying all 3, 4, 5 different books, trying to get the best information out of it I can, and making sure that it coincides with one another, and so as not to give out wrong information.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, I think that is the end of our questions from our participants today. Cheryl, we want to thank you so much for being able to come on and share with us. We appreciate all of your wisdom and knowledge. One last question from Devery are there any Indigenous plant conferences that you know of?
Not at the moment. I know Northwest used to give some, because they have Northwest institution has a they have a treatment facility, And they use a lot of plants. They use a lot of natural plants with their clients. So theirs was linked with food sovereignty. And I know a lot of food sovereignty webinars, classes, conferences, they will have a link with medicinal indigenous plants. It's just a matter of searching. I haven't been to one in a couple of years.
Yes, and I'm assuming with COVID-19 that probably some are on hold as well. So
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you again, Cheryl. We are excited for people to be able to watch the recording. And if you could send those slides to me, Cheryl, I'll get those added to the follow-up email that we send, the ones that you shared with us today, so that people can go back and reference if that's okay.
Oh, okay. Sure.
That would be great. Awesome. Okay. Thank you all for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you again on future presentations. Like I mentioned, for past recordings, please visit our website, and you can also visit our website to see future events as well. So have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay. So I'll get those sent off to you, Natasha.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yes, you too.